Hi, it's Terry Batista here with Bass Fishing Archives, and I'm standing here with Kevin VanDam. Kevin, you've been at this a long time, but really not many people really know about your history and how you became Kevin VanDam. When did you start bass fishing?
Well, you know, my dad took me fishing when I was like 3 years old. But back then we just fished for whatever. And, you know, my first bass fishing experience as far as competitive fishing was through my older brother Randy. You know, Randy was in a local bass club, Kalamazoo Valley Bass Club, and he started fishing tournaments, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird, you know, and I'd go with him to practice, and we'd go out, and I always wanted to catch him, you know? But he'd go and practice, and he'd like, oh, we catch one, we got to leave, and I'm like, well, why would you want to leave? We want to keep catching them, you know? He said, well, I got a tournament here Saturday, so, you know, it was kind of new to me, and then he started fishing, you know, in the club, and when I was 14, I fished my first team tournament with my brother. Kind of a cool story there is, I didn't know much about tournaments or how it went, team tournaments. He paid for the entry fee, drove there, all the boat gas, truck gas, paid for everything. We went there, and I did pretty good. It was a fall tournament, and I caught like 3 or 4 bass that were really good ones, and we ended up finishing second, and I caught the fish, and I thought because I caught the fish, I should get all the money. So, I mean, we won a couple $100, and to me, I was like, wow, this is super cool that you can do something that you love to do and even get paid sometimes, you know, and help me buy more fishing tackle and stuff. So, so I fished more tournaments from that. You know, when I was 16, I joined the same bass club, Cal Valley Bass Club. Started fishing in the federation, started fishing statewide tournaments. It just slowly worked up up the ladder. I fished, you know, some Redmans and some U.S. Bass. There's a bunch of different organizations around, and you know, I basically fished regionally around Michigan and northern Indiana for a couple of years, and I just. You know, I've always watched the Bassmasters, and I wanted to see, you know, just how good Larry Nixon and Danny Brower and Rick Clunn and those guys were. So my brother and I and another friend that I fished tournaments with at home, we went off and fished a Bassmaster Invitational at 1,000 odds, and I was 18 at the time. It was a big learning experience. You know, I ended up not doing very well in that tournament, because I really got talked out of going to my water and my boat by one of the big name pros at the time, and I learned a really good lesson. So, you know, for the next few years, I fished, you know, a couple of invitationals and still was fishing around home a lot. And I think it was the 1990-91 Bassmaster season. I fished all 6 invitationals, and that year I finished first in the points and was Rookie of the Year, qualified for the Classic. And you know, the next year I went and was able to fish back then they were the BP Top 100s. So to win Angler of the Year, you had to fish all the invitationals and all the Top 100s, and your points from all of them accumulated were Angler of the Year points. So my first full season, I actually won Angler of the Year in 1992, and you know, at that time, bass and the sport were really craving to have some new young talent, and it just, I never planned on making a living at it. I never planned it as a career. I just loved the competition, and from that point, I was really drawn in. Right.
You actually won, though, in your federation days. You won Federation Angler of the Year twice, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had a lot of success. My first year in the Cal Valley Bass Club when I was 16, I fished as a no-boater. And it drove me crazy because I draw with these guys, and I did real well actually fishing on the back of people's boats. You know, you fish with a different guy each week. The next year, my dad let me use our own boat, and I won Angler of the Year in the club. I won the Federation Angler of the Year. So yeah, I was lucky, and you know, we put a lot into it. We worked real hard at it. My brother has a sporting goods store, still has it today, DNR Sports there in Kalamazoo. So I was working there, and I was around it every day. So whether I was on the water or not, I was talking to people about fishing. And it helped me to see a lot of products. It helped me get connected to a lot of people in the industry. You know, I mean, we're standing here in the Strike King booth at ICAST, and, you know, and that's what it's all about. It gave me a lot of connections. I learned to be outgoing, learned to be able to talk to people, not be afraid to do seminars, and that's a big part of the business of bass fishing. Is you have to be a good spokesperson and a good angler. And a lot of guys, you know, at that time especially, didn't really understand that. They just really focused on their fishing. Some guys just focused on being spokespeople. But you know, I've been doing it for a long time now. I think I'm 24 years in or something. It seems like yesterday, but it's been a lot of fun because I'm super passionate about what I do. I love it. I still look forward to every day. You know, I mean, ICAST is one of my favorite places because you get to see all the new stuff and see what's going on. You see a lot of people you don't get to see very often. So,
well, hey, I appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon.